Hey, how's it going, my fellow golf ball addicts? Welcome to the Addict, episode 4. This is where I answer all of your wonderful questions about anything related to golf and life. And you guys did amazing this week with the questions. So many from different social media platforms. So I don't want to dilly-dally. I just want to get right into it. And as always, thank you, Magic Mind, so much. I appreciate what Magic Mind does for me. This is a mental clarity shot with all natural ingredients. And I'll tell you what, it really has changed my daily routine. I can't believe how much more focused I am, how much more organized I am, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to do both the channel and life and job and it's so crazy. Thank you, Magic Mind. You guys can try this out for 48% off, link in the description as well as that top pinned comment. Make sure you try it out, and guys, please let me know your feedback. I'd love to see how it changes your life as well. All right, don't want to dilly-dally. I drink this, but I tell you what, again, I already had one this morning, and I'm going enough. All right, so let's get into these questions here. Let's start real quick. I'm going to put the codes. So there's been a lot of confusion on some of the codes. Every once in a while, I reach out to golf ball companies and see if they can get us codes to get discounts on golf balls. Anyway, here's everything I have. So here's the codes for your future reference. I'm going to put them on the screen right here. If you guys want to try anything out or use those codes, that's awesome. You don't have to, but I'm just trying to save you a little bit of money. If you're going to, I don't want to persuade you to go buy these, but if you're going to anyway, use these codes. Really appreciate that. All right, so let's dive into the first question. First question, and by the way, if I did miss your question, I apologize. I really did try to get all of them, but we'll go in here. This is from Team Miller DE. Hi, new to the channel, but I'm really loving it. Starting to find myself becoming an addict as well. I noticed that when you first did your Vice reviews, you were most impressed with the Pro Plus. However, lately you're playing the Pro more. What's the reason for that? I'm a very similar swing speed to yourself, and I'm wondering which one I should try. So I did love the Pro Plus a lot, and I still do, but again, I talk about this all the time. You have to be honest with your game. You have to be honest with yourself and how you're playing. And for me, using a 4-piece that has a lot of side spin, I couldn't get off the tee box. I just couldn't. I've been struggling with a hook really bad. I've been struggling with power draws really bad with irons. And unfortunately, the Pro Plus really amplified those. And so I found myself missing the green in the fairway a lot. And so I had to go down to the Pro. Did that help a little? My game was actually a little even worse than that. So I had to go down again to a 2-piece for a while. For 2 or 3 months, I played a 2-piece again just to get back into the rhythm and get it. Now, I have improved since then. I'm back to playing the Pro. Again, the Pro Plus I love, especially for the distance, but being honest with my game, there's just too much side spin, and right now I need that forgiveness. If I play a tighter residential course, I'm still going back to a 2-piece, but right now I work at a course that's a championship, so I'm playing it a little bit more. That's going to be the Vice Pro, and that's why I do it. This one's from JG02468. When do you think is a good time in your golf journey to actually get fitted for clubs as opposed to just playing generic lengths and use club? So to be honest with you, I think almost everyone should get fitted for clubs, even if it's a basic fitting. Most golf places like PGA Superstore or even local places where they'll basically fit you for free as long as you buy the clubs from them. So if you're ready to buy clubs and have an idea what you want, go in, get fitted, because again, do you need all like the loft stuff and things like that? Maybe not, but length is really important. So I'm a taller guy, 6'1", and a lot of you have made comments on the channel about how I tower over the ball, about how, because I just appear bigger. These Vice irons I have were the first clubs I got that actually ever were lengthened a little bit, and boy did it make a difference. It made a huge difference in my game, and that's just from lengthening them like an inch. So I definitely think everyone should be doing that, at least for the length part, because if you're 6'3", you can't just buy off the shelf. You're going to be hunched over, it's going to be uncomfortable, and then you're going to learn to play golf that way, and then when it comes time for you to get better and you do go get fitted, now all of a sudden your whole swing's changed. Your whole release points change, and so that's going to be a learning curve. So no, I would just start from the beginning, get fitted, get comfortable, and then after that, create all that muscle memory. This is for JR2757. What is with the 6-foot-high chain link fence with barbed wire on top? Do you live in a really bad neighborhood? I've answered this question a lot, but I understand we have a ton of new subscribers, so they won't know. So I'll say it again. The barbed wire on the fence from my putting green, that's a fenced-in area that was from the previous owner of the house. he had pigeon coops in there where there was racing pigeons. So my street, the street I live on, is very popular for pigeon racing. A lot of my neighbors down the street have these same thing, chained in, barbed wire, you know, pigeon coops, and they race pigeons. And even right down the street, right across basically from my house, is a couple pigeon feed and supply stores. No, I'm not making that up. These people race pigeons. These pigeons can cost anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000, maybe even more for these racing pigeons. And so the gentleman who owned the house before me, he owned, God knows, $100,000 worth of pigeons probably, and he didn't want them getting eaten by animals or stolen, so he put barbed wire fence around it. No, not making that up. I know it's wild, but that is the truth. This one is from Todd C. Those are all amazing questions, but let's get into the important stuff. What do you like better, Airplane or Animal House, Die Hard or Speed, Star Wars or Star Trek, camping in a fancy RV or a rustic log cabin? Okay, I have to go with Airplane because I have not seen Animal House. I know you're going to kill me for that, but I've not seen Animal House, so I have to go with Airplane. I think Airplane would win anyway because that's more my style of humor. So I could watch Airplane a million times and never not be entertained. Die Hard or Speed? I've never seen Speed. Again, I know that's terrible. I love Die Hard. I imagine I would love Speed based on, you know, what I've seen. But yeah, Die Hard's a classic. Star Wars or Star Trek? Neither. You know what's funny about that is Star Wars and Star Trek, I don't know if it's the same for Star Trek, but I will give you a very unpopular opinion when it comes to Star Wars. If you did not grow up with the nostalgia factor of Star Wars, it's really not that good. I'll just say it, it's not. If you didn't grow up with the nostalgia factor, like where you watched it with your dad and your dad was a nerd, or you from a kid, if you just grow up and become an adult and someone says, hey, you should watch Star Wars, and you watch it, it's not good. Like, it just isn't. And it's funny because I will talk to Star Wars fans about it and I'll say, well, I really, as a film, lover, I like the first three because the technology and, what they were doing and how they built the sets, that's great. And most Star Wars fans will be like, oh yeah, no, those are amazing. And I'm like, yeah, no, I agree with that. The trilogy's not bad. It's pretty good. I could watch those. And then you're like, well, how do you feel about the, 1 through 3, Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith and those? Most Star Wars fans I talk to are like, those are terrible. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Or, this one's decent. But yeah, that's not the original 3. And I'm like, okay, cool. Then I'm like, what about the new ones that have come out? Like all the new since Disney. Oh, those are terrible also. And I'm like, so now Star Wars has like 9 or 10 films in their franchise, and you're telling me 6 of them you don't like, or 7 of them you don't like, and only 3 or 4 of them are good? That's not a good series. Like, it just isn't. Like, if you're telling me that more than half of them you don't care for, and they're not true to the original, that's not a good series. So for me, it's weird. I think it's just a lot of nostalgia. I think people grow up from when they're a kid, and they dress up as, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they have the little lightsaber toys, and I think it's just a nostalgia factor, because if you don't have that, it really does affect your opinion on that. If you miss on that gate, and there's a lot of adults I've talked to who are like, yeah, I didn't watch it till I was 30, and yeah, it's kind of hard to get through if you're not a big fan. So unpopular opinion on Star Wars there, but it is what it is. It is hard to watch for me. Like I said, though, the original trilogy I do appreciate from a film standpoint. This is from Dean McCormick, 8070. I would like to know what factors determine high versus low trajectory balls and how those factors influence the ball's flight. Interesting question. So I know that dimple pattern has a huge part in it, how it comes off. I also know that firmer golf balls in 4-piece usually have a lower launch traditionally, just because I think that the higher a compression a golf ball is, the quicker the release off the club is, meaning that when a golf ball is compressing and it's a low compression, it kind of absorbs a little longer and then comes off the club, and so it allows it to get into the grooves as you're coming through, and it can launch a little higher. A lot of 4-piece models aren't that way, or even really firm golf balls, they kind of compress and then come off, and so it's a lot quicker, and so that means it's going to be a lower launch. Once beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. I just know that it's very frustrating, because even golf ball companies will tell me, oh, low launch, it's mid, or oh, really high launch, it's low. I get that all the time, and so it is kind of strange to me that golf ball companies can't advertise that right. Maybe they're testing them on a robot and it's just totally different, but that's why human element testing is so important too, because yeah, it's easy to get low launch on a robot. You just set the robot a certain way, and yeah, if it's the same swing every time, it could be a low launch, but I don't want to know that. I want to know how humans test the golf ball, and so it can be different at times, but that's a really good question. ADJ Man 48 says, greetings from down under, 93 mile an hour swing speed. Why do I score better with X models even though they're supposedly meant for fast swing speeds? Good question. So there is such a thing in golf as, it's going to sound weird, but playing the wrong way. You can learn how to play golf the wrong way and be good at it. Now, usually where I use that as a metaphor is if your swing is bad. Like I know people who naturally cut across the golf ball and hit a fade or a slice. You can learn to play golf that way and get pretty good. You know, I've seen people aim way left of the green and just naturally hit their, you know, slice, and it slices on the green and it's great. Doesn't mean you should do that. It just means that you can learn to play that way. Same thing applies to this golf ball theory. So can you play X model golf balls and get used to the loss in distance a little bit, the lack of forgiveness, the roll, the checkup, all that stuff? Yeah, you can absolutely play X models golf ball for a long period of time, get very comfortable with them, and then when you try something new, even though it's better on data and on paper, you still see a difference in score because you're just not used to that golf ball. And I'll provide an example. If you're used to, let's say, 150 yards with your 7-iron, right? That's what you get with an X model golf ball. And you know that with that X model golf ball, it hits and it spins and it stops pretty much where you land it. If you decide to do a tailor-made tour response stripe, which has a 70 compression, right? Now all of a sudden, you're probably going to hit it 160, okay? That's a huge difference. So now all of a sudden, instead of, in your mind, you're going 150, that's where the pin is, boom, I'm gonna hit it right there and it's gonna stick and I'm gonna have a birdie putt. Instead, you're off the green now because you got an extra 10 yards of distance. So if you're not used to that, that's what can happen. So now you hit the ball, it flies, it goes over, it rolls down, now you're chipping, you duff the chip, oh no, now you skull the chip, now you've lost strokes. And so that is a possibility. So the reality is that you need to find out on data something you can look at, or you know, go to a golf course and hit the golf balls to where you can see the actual distance disparity and find out what is truly best for your game, what truly is going to get you the max distance, the optimal spin, the best flight. Then once you have that, play it religiously and get used to it. That way you can have that same confidence, because you're not the only one I've seen that, you know, same thing. I have guys who are 20 handicap that are like, oh, I play with the Pro V1X and it's my favorite. It's all mental. It's all in their head because they've played with it so much. They've played with it for 10 years. And so they're just used to it. And that's, you can learn to play that way. But you are handicapping yourself. There is a ceiling that you've reached and you're never going to get above it because you're not playing what's optimal for your game. Great question. This is from Alex Swire Clark. Top 3 golf balls for junior girls with a year experience playing. Well, it's going to depend on their swing speed and stuff, but what I love in particular, the TaylorMade Kalea is a really solid golf ball because it's very consistent and accurate. The dispersion's low. I love that one a lot. I love the MaxFly Softfly as well. Excellent golf ball, especially for the money. And again, really tight dispersion numbers, really good forgiveness. Love that ball. My favorite is the Riva from Callaway, but the problem is that I don't like the fact that it's a bigger ball. It's a bigger ball, and so putting with it is very, very difficult. And so although I do really love what it does for ball flight and distance and all that stuff, it makes putting a little harder. So it's a good ball to maybe practice with, but in competition, I wouldn't play it. As a third alternative, I like the Wilson Duo, the 360 track they came out with this year. It's a 37 compression, really great for the slower swing speeds, but also you can use that feedback from that 360 stripe with putting and chipping and all that, and that'll help further the game. That's really important. Teach them young. Use the alignment tool. This is from Jack Rutherford 1. I'm trying a new ball on the course, or if I'm trying a new ball on the course, how many rounds should it take to get a feel for the new ball? What should I look for on the course, and how do I evaluate its performance during a round? Great question. So if you're on the course evaluating a ball, it's a little tough because you have to have something directly side by side to compare it to. It's very easy to go out to a course and hit a golf ball and just go, hey, that felt great. And then you go up and you go, hey, I'm out here in the middle of the fairway. And you think, oh, that's awesome. But how many yards was it? What was the spin? You know what I mean? There's so many factors that you just don't know. So I always recommend when you find 3 or 4 golf balls that you really like, get to a simulator somewhere and then get the numbers. That way you can help. But as far as what you can look for on the course, one, green side is the most important. You know, figure out the chipping, the ball fly with chipping, how it comes off the club, the feel, the feedback, the putting, the true roll. Do you like all that? Once you get past that step, then you can work your way into the, irons as far as approach shots. Does the ball go, a little farther than you wanted? Does it go a little shorter than you wanted? When it hits, is it spinning? Is it grabbing the green? Is it not checking up enough? And then you get into, is it drawing too much? Is it, fading too much? Is there too much side spin? And then after that, you can go back to the tee box. That's the order I would do it in, is from green to tee. But you just have to be really wary about that stuff, because there's a lot of people who will test a golf ball on the course, and it's why I don't do a lot of testing on the course, because what can you really tell? You hit the golf ball and you go, oh, that felt great, and then you go out to the middle of an open fairway and you're like, hey, this is great, I'm in the fairway. Right, but is it farther than golf ball B? Is it farther than golf ball C or D? You don't know, you know what I mean? So it's tough in that regard, but work from green to tee. Figure that out, and then once you find 3 or 4 you really like and you can't narrow it down any further, get to a simulator and get those data so you can see optimally what the golf ball's doing, where it's launching, the spin numbers, things like that. This is from Howard Bands 5473, best golf balls for high handicappers. Howard, I would just recommend watching our top 10 golf ball, our top 100 countdown. From 20 and up, there's like 6 two-piece golf balls in there. Any of those would be great. Any of those two-piece golf balls that are in there would be awesome. I would definitely recommend checking that out, just because it's going to have, a more in-depth analysis of the different golf balls, and you'll find a couple in there you really like. The Wilson Boost is awesome. SDS 15, Pinnacle Rush, Laddie Extreme. I know there's another one in there too, I'm forgetting about it, but check that out. There's a lot of great models in there. Okay, so this one's from Barry Hamilton. What is the best all-around ball, longest, for the average player, 90-mile-an-hour swing speed? Well, Barry, so that's kind of a loaded question. One, I don't like the wording. Longest does not mean the best. We've got to there's so many people who come to this channel, and I'm not calling you out, Barry, I'm not. It's multiple people. They're like, distance, it's all that matters. Stop it. Stop it. No, it isn't. You can have an amazing distance golf ball, but if it spins too much and it balloons, it's not going to work. If you have a distance golf ball that has no spin, okay, how are you going to hold a green? I know many golf balls I've tested that instead of having, like, let's say with a 7-iron, optimal would be like 5,700 RPM for me. That'd be a good, healthy amount of checkup. I've seen golf balls have 4,600 RPM. They're the longest by far, but how are you going to hold a green? I mean, it's going to hit the front of the green, just roll to the back and roll off. I mean, it's not going to work. So I don't like the longest factor. We've got to get over this idea that longest is the best, because it just isn't. It's not even close. For me, what is the best? Just, again, watch the top 100 list. The PXG got #1. That's what I would recommend. I mean, that golf ball list is intended to be that. So definitely check that out. I guess I'll just put a link in the description as well for anyone who wants to see it if you haven't. But that top 10 list is absolutely everything I would recommend, because you're in that swing speed category that I reviewed those from. So how often do you replace your clubs, wedges, irons, hybrids, wood driver? So for me, I replace them at least something every year. I'm really blessed to be in a situation where I have relationships with, used golf club companies now and stuff. And so I also get some pretty decent discounts from direct-to-consumer companies. So I always try to, at least every year change something out and try it out. I'm always testing new stuff. And so it's easy to switch it out. For the average golfer, it just depends. Every few years, if you buy a whole new set, you should be good for a few years, as long as you're doing really well with it and you don't need to upgrade. I mean, you could get 5 years out of it easily. I know some people who get 10, 15 years out of it, but as far as how technology improves, really, a set should last you 5 years before you see major technological advancements. It also is going to depend on the quality. If you kind of cheap out at first and buy just a beginner starter set, yeah, once you get decent at the game and you realize you like it, you want to upgrade, I would definitely recommend that. But how do you see golf behavior in your neck of the woods? In my area of South Texas, I see more and more general lack of etiquette, slow play, players charging across my fairways from adjacent holes with no regard that I'm about to tee off. The worst of it is that club management is very misbehavior stat. It's gonna get bad because there has been a major shift in golf. I'm not gonna say it's good or bad or any of that. That's a personal opinion, but golf went over the last 10 years from country club, higher money, gentlemen, no hats in the club, to now, because of COVID, there's a lot of young guys playing it who are partiers. And I didn't realize that until I worked at. That was a resort style course, caters to the 1%, I thought catering to the 1% would be guys, flying in on private jets and them coming up and shaking your hand, hey, nice to play golf here, thanks for the opportunity, oh, absolutely, I'll take one of everything in the pro. I thought it was gonna be like that. No, it was a lot of like guys bumping cocaine on the first hole, and I watched guys get so sloshed from alcohol that they fell down. They were in the woods and didn't know where they were. It's like, sir, what are you doing out here? I don't know where. They're looking up at the sky and their eyes are rolling in the back of their heads. And like, I'm not exaggerating. I've seen some crazy stuff. And again, it's drugs, alcohol, partying, and there's this sense of entitlement when they came. They would come and legit be like, no, I paid a lot of money to be here. F you, I can do whatever I want. The amount of times I was told F you to my face from people who were playing golf, I can't even count it. I mean, hundreds, maybe even close to 1,000, because of just simple things like, oh, sir, we don't allow carts over here. F you, I can do whatever I want. Like, so to answer your question, like, it's gotten a lot worse because there's now people playing golf who aren't from the gentleman. It used to be a gentleman's game. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I believe it still should be fun, modern, but still a gentleman's game. Have some respect. I see too many guys out here now with backwards hats, just, like you said, running in the middle of fairway, slow play, getting so sloshed, carts tipping over. Look, if you want to go out on the course and drink and have a good time, awesome. Yeah, it's a fun game. Relax. It's a home away from home. I get it. But yeah, contain yourself. Act like an adult. It really changed my perspective on that a lot because, I mean, some of the stuff I saw, we had 4-seaters and 6-seaters for transportation. We would have guys, golfers, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., it's dark, just come over. Like I would drive one up and like just get out and be like, hey, are you guys good? They would hop in my cart and just take off and start riding the hills in them. And I mean, you're like, you stop them and you're like, what do you? They just got done disrespecting the food and beverage girls. Then they stole my cart. They're out joyriding. Some of them might have even broken a cart. And you know what the punishment was? Oh, sorry, sir, for the inconvenience. Let's get you to bed. Big mistake. I just, that's a little bit of a rant there, not to harp on, but there was so much stuff like that. I do think that's the reason why if I walk into a clubhouse and they say, hey, no hats, I don't challenge them on it. Because I would rather have some rules and some order, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's a little weird. I'd rather have some order than have guys going around just destroying property, vandalizing, and we're just like, oh, well, they're paying customers. The customer's always right. Come on, bro. It's a fun game. While I was editing this part, I thought of another really funny story, and it's too good not to share, so I wanted to share it with you guys. It's related. When I was working at that golf club, another instant was there was a gentleman who came up, and he was playing, and he was a very nice individual, and he had a beer at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and he was like so giddy and happy he got to have it, and I kind of looked at him and I was like, have you never had a beer on the golf course before? And he said, oh, well, of course I have. And he's like, but I'm from Wisconsin. And he's like, I'm from a golf club that has banned alcohol for the summer, which was 4 months. And he's like, there's only 1 month left. He goes, so we haven't been able to have any alcohol at all, period. Not bringing it. He goes, they're very strict. And I said, well, why? What happened? He goes, unfortunately, someone at my club, 4 guys got really sloshed and were outside of their mind. And basically one of them was like, hey, buddy, I'll give you $100 if you show that golf hole who's boss, if you know what I mean. And so I guess one of the guys was like, oh, heck yeah, pulled down his pants, bare butt, and started humping the hole. I mean, legit, for multiple minutes. I think it was like 5 minutes from what I was told. So now imagine, you're the group behind waiting for the green to clear. And you're watching this guy pull his pants down and go to town on the hole. And I guess the club, long story short, I guess the club was like, guys, I guess this was multiple incidents like this. Not exactly this. This was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. But I guess there was so many incidents like that a golf club had to legit say, hey, I'm sorry, no more alcohol for the summer. Like, you guys are getting way too out of hand. So anyway, my point in all this is that you got, please, if you're a golfer, respect the course, respect your fellow golfers, respect the club, respect the game. Yes, you can drink and have a good time, but please, like, at this point, you're just ruining it for everyone. If you're doing that type of stuff,
it was crazy. And this gentleman was he had some honesty in his eyes. He was legit like, I miss it. He goes, I wish I could have a beer on the course. He goes, but it's just insane to me.
All right, this is from Sully. Hi, Nick. What's your take on where they at with the golf ball rollbacks? It's years out. Wonder what you think. You know, I think again, I've said this before, I think that when it comes to this golf ball rollback, if it keeps going, I think tour balls are going to suffer, because I've already seen experimentation of what, you know, AAA tour balls are doing, and it's gotten worse, and they're trying to figure out what they can do and get away with, and it's really affected the performance of the golf balls, and now I can't stand them. I think that direct-to-consumer companies are going to thrive, because I think direct-to-consumer companies are going to come out and go, hey, you're not playing in competition, you know, it's not USGA, it's not USGA regulated anymore, like, you know, don't play these in competition, but if you're just going out with your friends and your buddies, this is going to get you an extra 30, and I think people are going to start buying the crap out of them, because direct-to-consumer companies don't have to cater to the pros or these, you know, rules of rollback, and why should they? You know, it's a prime opportunity for them to really get a step up and say, you know what, yeah, don't use it in a competition, but when was the last time you played a competition? Oh, you just go out drinking with your friends on the weekend? Okay, well, you're going to get 30 more yards than you are with this AAA tour ball now, because it was rolled back, and it's going to be an easy choice. That's what I think is going to happen, but we'll see. I'm not happy with the current state of it, though, because they're firming them up to get them to not go as far. Yeah, I don't like it. This is from Keith Kohler. Why don't you go to golf courses and do the ball test on real grass? Just curious how things might change. So for one, things don't change. In the past, this is what I always tell people about my chipping green, because I get a lot of flack and a lot of criticism for my chipping green because it's turf. I have never tested a golf ball on that green and said, okay, this is where it's at with the spin level, this is where it's at, you know, with the feel and all that, and I do the whole test and I go, this is where the golf ball is. I've never had it to where then I go to the course and test it out or play it and it be different. Right now, in all honesty, it's 100% accurate. It's never been wrong. You can tell by what the golf ball's doing and the rotation and how it hits, what it's going to do. And that doesn't change whether it's turf, whether it's real grass, it doesn't matter. Now, part two to answer that is, why don't I go? I don't have the time. I have a part-time job. My wife has a part-time job. I have two babies under, 4 years old. One's 3 in a couple months, and the other one's 1.5. Between all of that, I just don't have time. Instead of going out and it taking 25, 30 minutes, an hour, somewhere in there to do a green test outside, I would have to then get all my camera equipment, get everything ready, get in a vehicle, drive 30 minutes to a golf course, arrive, go in, check with them. Hey, are you guys cool if I do filming? Okay, awesome. Make sure I don't get anybody else in the film. Test them on the green. Then, you're talking about something that takes 30 minutes to an hour and turning it into something that's 3 to 4 hours, maybe longer. And I don't have the time to do that right now. And it doesn't make sense to, because like I said, right now my green is 100% accurate. It's never been wrong. So I have no reason to add that time, because I'm already having to spend 7, 8 hours per video just to get them out. I just, maybe one day when I do it full time, I might be able to expand something like that, but right now I just don't have it. All right, this is from Micah O'Daniel. I've been using the Vice Tour and love it, but Vice has stopped their bulk discount pricing due to the economic climate. What are some options in the sub 30 space that would be similar? Thanks, love the channel. So it's a little different, but again, I have to recommend Legato. Legato has really become the standard just because it's so inexpensive, and it's a 3-piece urethane, and you can get it for like anywhere between $20 a dozen and $30 a dozen. Like, it's really good. If you like a firmer feel, you can try the Lazarus. That's a $20 on Amazon, 3-piece urethane. That's another nice one. Wright and Ditson, another great golf ball, $29.99. It's a 4-piece, but it doesn't feel like a 4-piece. It doesn't act like one. It's just really explosive. Definitely recommend that one. All right, this is from Albert McReynolds. Question, why don't you do a swing speed category for each ball? Slow swing, average, fast swing, ball suits each swing speed. Well, I wouldn't mind that. It's just more of, I do it from the average swing speed because that's what I test golf balls from. Now, eventually, I would love to get to the point where I do 3 different tests with a golf ball. Again, if I had more time and I was able to do this full time and I didn't have to, work, and my wife didn't have to work, and I just had all the time to dedicate on the channel, absolutely. I would love to test a golf ball from 3 perspectives. I would love to test it 1 from slow swing, 2 from average swing, and then 3 from fast swing. I would build my swing up and get there and be able to do that. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do that right now. Again, it takes 7 to 8 hours to get one video out from one swing speed perspective. If you add another 3, 4 hours, 5 hours to that per video, I just don't have it right now. This is from San Fanatic 1. Have you ever delved into the science of golf ball materials, considered reaching out to a golf ball factory? Maybe PXG would consider inviting you out now that they know who you are. Great question. I haven't done a ton of research onto it. It's something I'm interested in, but again, it just... Sorry, I hate being a dead horse. It's the time factor. I would love to just sit down and be able to spend hours researching golf balls and how they're made and things like that. I know there's all kinds of YouTube videos on it. I'd love to reach out. It's just something that it's on the back burner, but right now I just have other priorities. But yeah, that will be coming. Whether it's season 6, 7, it's coming eventually. It just depends on when this hits that mark. Because pretty soon, one day, the channel, the way it's going, will hit a point where it's like, okay, now this is my full-time gig, which that would be awesome. I can't wait, but it's just not there yet, but we're close. Eric Arikow, I'm sorry if I butchered that. I apologize, Eric. What club do you base swing speed on? Driver. If anyone's ever talking about swing speed, like, as far as what it is, it's going to be with the longest club you have, which is the driver. So when I say I have 95 mile an hour swing speed, that's what I try to test golf balls from. That's with the driver. So every other club after that's different. That's why I now put in my iron data, you'll see the swing speed target and stuff like that too. I know in the triple reviews I didn't, but I at least put what the swing speed was, and that's why I do that. So, but yeah, and in just general reference, if I ask you what your swing speed is, I mean driver. Best value ball for greenside spin, shooting in the mid-low 80s, getting good shots with my wedges, just struggling with spin. I'm going to have to start, Legato's going to have to start paying me. I mean, they are. I don't take money from golf ball companies, but if I keep mentioning their golf ball 700 times per video, they're going to have to start paying me. But again, no, Legato, it was actually top 3 in our wedge spin last year, and again, it's $25 a dozen, $27 a dozen. You can get it, it's under 30 all the time. But yeah, again, it's a great value, and it's one of the highest spinning golf balls I've ever seen, especially for that price point. This is from Socks and Pats for Life. You must be from Boston. Part of golf that frustrates you the most, part of golf that you enjoy the most. What frustrates me the most is putting, because it feels like no matter how much I practice it, I never get any better. Plus, there's also a luck involved, and I have about as much luck as, that shoe laying on the ground over there, like 0. It's an inanimate object, has 0 luck. I have 0 luck. I mean, it's that way. But the part of golf I enjoy the most is definitely just, the playing against yourself. It's the only sport, and being a sport guy, I love it. It's the only sport that you can go out and play by yourself and still have the full experience. Basketball, I can go shoot hoops, but it's not the full experience. Baseball, I can go hit a ball off a tee, or I guess I maybe get one other person that can pitch it to me, but it's not the full experience. Football, it's not the full experience. Golf is one of the only sports where you can just, you're having a bad day, hey honey, I'm just gonna go to the course. You go to the course, you play, your day's now better, or maybe worse, depending on how you played, but it's the full experience. I mean, you play every hole, you put your score in, you're playing against yourself, it's a mental game, it's really you versus you, and you can get that full experience that way. Now, like I said, I like playing with other people better, but you can still go by yourself and get the full experience, and that's what I like about it so much. This is from Z Wagger. You mentioned chug effect a lot when putting. Do you find a blade creates more of this effect than a mallet? This is part of the reason I no longer use a blade. And have you tried adjusting your putting stroke to hit slightly down on the ball to reduce this? Yes, I have. Fat Perez is an example. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I've tried all kinds of different putting stuff. Chug effect is real, and it does happen. Most of the time, chug effect actually happens from mallets, because what happens is when you're putting, you have a really thick mallet putter, and if you get a low compression golf ball like a Wilson Duo, 37 compression, it's like a bouncy ball basically. And so you're basically taking a metal bat to a tennis ball, if you know what I mean, and you're basically just boing, and it's going to spring off real hard, and then it's going to chug, and then it's going to roll normal. That's where I see it the most. Blades can have chug effect, but it's more mild, because blades, it comes from off-center hits. You hit it off the toe a little bit, it might have a little bit of chug effect because it was mishit to let you know. That's different. I don't mind that chug effect because that's feedback. What I don't like is when you take a mallet putter and you hit it pure, and it has so much weight behind it, and the ball is so bouncy, it just goes boing, and it goes and then rolls straight. So no, I would say it's more of mallet putters, but really what it comes down to is if you have the blade does have more of a true roll, and it'll make you a better putter, so I don't hate that. But yeah, that's where it comes from. Great question. This is from GX something QX, I don't know, that's just his username. Does the sound you often you so often mention have anything to do with performance? Is it just preference? No, it's just preference. Sound, usually louder balls are firmer because, you know, that's where the click comes from. So that's just personal preference. But a lot of people, I've just noticed, the reason I mention it so much is because there's a lot of people out there who really hate that sound of click. I used to watch golf reviews from, you know, the big guys back in the day, and all the time I'd hear them, you know, putt with a ball. And it's funny, if it wasn't a Pro V1, they hated it, but they'd putt with a ball and go, oh, that's just so loud. Oh, I hate, oh, and they'd be rolling around on the ground, and they're like, oh, I can't stand it, and they're vomiting, and okay, that's exaggeration. But no, they would make a big deal out of it. So I guess I just always assumed that some people really hate the sound, and so I try to mention it, but for me, I don't care. I really don't. A sound is part of the golf ball. The only sound that truly bothers me is there are a couple golf balls that are so firm and loud that when you hit them with a driver, they ring your ears. That bothers me, but putting, whatever, I can get used to it. Roberto DeLeon, I'm sorry if I can't, it's hard to read these usernames. When and what time is episode 4? Right now. First question, have you tried counterweights in your putter on your irons and drivers? I have not. I've never been fitted to that degree, and I've never tried them, unfortunately. Second question, tour level balls that have the most side spin that average golfers should try to avoid. Why are golf lessons? Okay, whoa, there's another question in there. Let's start with question 2, which is the tour level balls that have side spin. Most tour level golf balls, I can't think of any tour level golf ball that doesn't have too much side spin. You got to remember, tour level golf balls are tour for a reason. They're designed to be bent left and right. They're designed to, you know, be able to hook and slice at will. That's why most tour level players play them, because you hit your driver shot, you're a little bit in the woods, you need to now hit a low stinger. A tour ball allows you to do that. Not for the average guy. You know, average guy needs to take his medicine and just punch out into the fairway. And so that's why pretty much any tour level ball I just don't recommend. Third question was, why are golf lessons so expensive? $100 an hour in my area. If you can afford it, what do you recommend to do to get better over time? Great question. So I do agree that golf lessons unfortunately have an issue with them. So many people will charge $100 an hour, and you'll go to a golf lesson and you'll get a bad taste in your mouth because this guy teaching the lesson will be like, you know, okay, well, here, we're going to start with the, you know, the irons. And you're like, well, no, actually, my driver is my worst club. Can we start with that? Oh, no, get the irons out. Now, what we're going to do is I just want you to come back to the top and hold it and just feel that in your arms. And you do that for an hour, and you're like, I don't feel like I got better. And then he's like, oh, well, we'll do that in the next lesson. And it's like, I just spent $100 for you basically to, I came back here, and then you had me visualize coming through. And I get that. Not saying that can't work. But when you're charging $100 an hour, I do feel like golf fitters kind of need to get to the point. You know what I mean? Like, get to the point where it's like, okay, you know, I need to get better at this. How do I get better at that? Okay, awesome. Get your driver out. Let's work on that. Okay, you're coming out to in. So what I would recommend, get to that, but they don't. They're trying to milk it. I know they are. I've seen them. And there are great teachers. There's bad teachers. There's good teachers. But there's a lot of teachers out there that really feel like they have to introduce it their way, and over time. I'm not that way. If you come to me and say, hey, I have a problem, I need help, I'll immediately try to fix it, but that is a problem. How you get better as an individual is simple. Just film yourself, watch your swing, don't try to do too much, start by going back halfway, develop good habits of what you're doing, don't make the same mistake twice. Experiment when you're starting out. Left, right. If you're hitting it right, try to pull it left and figure out what works and what doesn't. And then when you find something that feels really comfortable and you feel like you got the ball going where you want it, create muscle memory. It'll get a lot better. This is from John. Tell us more about what you mean when you say forgiveness and how you determine it. Thanks. Great question. You know, forgiveness is what separates my channel from pretty much any other golf channel, because I talk about it all the time, because no one talks about it, which is really crazy to me. But golf forgiveness, there's 2 main factors in it. The first one is when you mishit it with your club, what distance and spin numbers do you get off miss hits in the center? And basically, you know, there are golf balls like the Wilson Zip where you hit it a little off the toe, and instead of, let's say, 150 with a 7-iron, it'll go 145. That's pretty good, because 145 means that you're still on the green. You might be on the front of the green, but you're putting. That's awesome. Then there's golf balls like the TP5X where same miss hit, same spot, you're at 130. So now you're no longer on the green anymore. Now you're chipping or pitching into the green, and if you're good at that, yeah, you can probably up and down and still get par. If you're an average golfer, you could duff it, you could, you know, mishit it, it goes way past the hole, now you're putting from 30 feet, and then that's how you add strokes up. And so that's why it's so important, because it can be the difference between 2 or 3 strokes on a single hole, just because you're hitting the green versus being short. The other factor of forgiveness is the side spin. Prime example, I love the Vice Pro Plus. I talked about it earlier in this video. What was happening was you accidentally closed the face a little bit. Now I'm out of bounds, because the side spin on it, it's meant to be bent left and right. So a good golfer can say, I got this tree to go around, I'm gonna bend it. They hit it, they bend it around, great. But me, I just have an okay swing and I accidentally close that face, and now I'm looking at the green and I'm going, oh no, I'm like, oh crap. And now I'm 30 yards left of the green that way, and now I've got to again pitch. And so it's the side spin factor. A 2-piece golf ball that eliminates some of that side spin, I'm going to hit, and I close the face and I go, oh, okay, it's got a draw on it. Okay, a little too much, hang on. Oh, it hit the left side of the green. Okay, I'm chipping, I can deal with that. That's another level of forgiveness. And so now I can use a chipper, or I can just, I can use the Texas wedge. I have more options opposed to pitching from 20, 30 yards out. So side spin, also miss hits off the club. Those are the 2 levels of forgiveness. They are super important. All right, this was from Glenn. AAAA golf ball versus new golf ball, same model, same performance. Now there was another question about used golf balls as well. I'll group both of them in here. So I just don't recommend used golf balls. I just don't. And I know there's a lot of you that are like, oh, but I can save money, why not? Here's the problem. I'm a firm believer that once a golf ball has been used for 80 to 90 shots, it's on the decline. And I've seen that in my testing. I've seen that with durability. I've seen that with all kinds of stuff. The reason I firmly believe that just based on 5 years of testing. And so the thing is that if you have a used golf ball, first of all, what does AAA mean? What does 4A mean? Who's coming up with those standards? Who's putting that on that? Where did these golf balls come from? Who packaged them? Who collected them? For me, there's just too many what ifs. I've also seen fakes. I've seen tons of fakes where they make it look like a Pro V1 and it looks exactly like a Pro V1, and then you kind of scrape away and then you're like, oh, this is an old Callaway Super Soft, and they just repainted it and made it look good. Also, then there's the question of, okay, are you getting the same model every single time? And it just, I could sit here and go on this rant for like 20 minutes, but my point is that when you have like 10 to 15 what ifs, and then you get to the point where it's like, well, wait a minute, why would I save money on a Pro V1 with all these what ifs, and is it even the best ball for my game, when there are golf balls like Vice that you can get for $32.99 a dozen from the rip? You know what I mean? You can buy them in bulk and get a good quality new tour ball that performs great for $32.99. Then you look at golf balls like Legato and Wright and Ditson and all these direct-to-consumer ones that they are fantastic golf balls. Some of the best I've PXG right now, $35 a dozen. How am I going to recommend a used Titleist Pro V1 to someone for $35 a dozen when what if, how many shots were they used? Has that been used for 150 shots? If so, it's no good anymore. It's not going to roll the same. It's not going to fly the same. It's not going to spin the same. Or a new box of PXGs, which was my #1 golf ball from last year, for $35 a dozen. If you use my code and you use the Heroes discount, you get them for $27 a dozen. I can't recommend used golf balls. I just can't. I know there's a ton of you on the channel that are like, oh, well, what if I never will. I'm sorry. I buy new. Howie 3-putt. So it was just at a driving clinic, and the pro mentioned that using a premium golf ball off the tee really doesn't matter, but it's the ball that you hit into the green that really matters. As a premium ball with more spin, it should always be used. Okay, your thoughts, please. Great question. So what that comes down to for me is, again, I've talked about it in this video, but greenside performance is definitely the most important. But I do disagree with most of what the guy said. And this comes from ignorance, and it's not his fault. A lot of people just don't understand golf balls the way we do as a community, right? As far as what's off the tee, it doesn't matter if it's a premium ball or whatever. You want to find what golf ball is best for your game. Sometimes that's a premium ball. Sometimes it's a 2-piece Walmart ball. It just depends on the golfer. The amount of people who email me a day and say, oh, the Wilson Boost, $10 a dozen is incredible. I mean, it works great for their game. They've broke 80 with it. They broke 90 with it. I get emails all the time. So it's not really black and white as far as premium and not premium, because the Top Flight Gamer is not a premium golf ball. But yet, when I hit it into a green, it hits and rips back to me. And it's a 2-piece golf ball for $10 a dozen. So that doesn't really matter anymore. You just want to find a really good golf ball for your game that has the optimal numbers you like, everything I've talked about in this video so far, and once you find it, that's what you got to rock with. Sometimes that does mean, sacrificing a tiny bit of distance off the tee, but everything you get from the rest of it is worth it. Sometimes it's okay, I get a little bit extra distance, but you know what? I don't care about, the spin number. I have big greens I can work with. So find out what is going to be best for your game and where you're playing at. Guys, fantastic questions. This was a really long one. This was almost like a live I do. I love these questions. They were all really awesome. I hope some of this helped you. I really was challenged a lot. That's awesome. Again, I would not be able to do this for an hour length in time without Magic Mind. Thank you, Magic Mind. Appreciate it, guys. Again, you can go in the description, get the 48% off. There's also a link in the pinned comments as well. Check that out if you're needing a little mental clarity in your life. Thank you as always. Keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. We'll have number 5 here in a couple weeks. And guess what? I hope you guys have as good a questions for that one as you did for this one. Thank you so much.